So July is coming up real quick, and that means a new batch of books to check out. Hi everyone, it's Holly, and today I have for you a ton of books you need to have a look at in July 2021. If you enjoy this type of content, I do them every single month. Be subscribed. Thank you so much to those of you who already get excited with me. I have 15 titles here, a good mix of adult and YA, so let's go ahead and jump into this list. As always, if there's a release I don't mention that you are excited for, be sure to let everyone know down in the comments. Starting on July 6th, we have The Empire's Ruin. This is a brand new adult fantasy set in the same world as the Chronicle of the Unhewn Throne series, although I don't believe you need to read those books to follow this new trilogy, even though I'm sure it's recommended by those die-hard fans who consider Brian Stavelli's writing to be on the lines of Joe Abercrombie. You can do what you will though. The story here follows the arc of several characters in different storylines, settling itself nicely into the genre of grimdark. There will definitely be little flourishes to those of you who have read its previous series, as this one follows Gwenna, a commander of the Ketrel. I also think we can all appreciate the cover art theme kind of remaining the same, which is great. Capture the Crown. We have another author returning to their previous world. This is the first book to a new fantasy trilogy set in the Crown of Shard's world. It's following a character from those books, but 16 years later, so she's now an adult. And she's a princess in her kingdom who has a bit of a reputation as being spoiled, but she has cultivated this persona so that she can be a spy to see what is going on in her kingdom. I'll for sure be reading the previous series because I've been dying to get to it, but this is a new option we can all be excited for. 6 Crimson Cranes. So we have yet another new fantasy series set in a previous world. A lot of those on this list. This one is set in the same world as Spin the Dawn, which was a pretty popular YA fantasy a couple years ago, and 6 Crimson Cranes is kind of in that same vein. We're following the only daughter out of a royal family, and she can wield a forbidden magic, but her stepmother has caught on to her secret. Her brothers are then cursed and turned into cranes, and every sound she utters, a brother will die. I'm assuming this is like very high stakes, which we like, and I just think that plot is so interesting. To call it unique would definitely be an understatement. A bonus that the cover is gorgeous. Half Sick of Shadows. The author of Ash Princess is back with a new YA fantasy, except this one is a bold feminist reimagining of the Arthurian myth. Our characters receive word that the king has died, and the group make their way back to Camelot. I think if you love new feminine perspectives on masculine mythologies, or long for the mist of Avalon, then you should definitely check this one out. Moving along to July 13th, we have The Freedom Race, the first book in the Dreambird Chronicles, a very cool series title, the author's first foray into speculative fiction, and they have written upon a very heavy topic. This is set in a dystopian future after a second civil war in America, and it strongly depicts slavery with our main character who is on a plantation, and she's hoping to win what is known as the Freedom Race, so that she and those that she loves can be free. A very important message here that history can repeat itself or even become worse than it was in the past, which is I think the narrative the story is taking. It sounds so interesting, thought-provoking, and an emotional horror ride. A Desert Torn Asunder. The conclusion, the finale of the decently long-running Song of Shattered Sands series, which is an epic fantasy saga set in a desert setting. The first book is 12 Kings of Shara-K, which released in, I believe, 2015, quite a long time ago in the book publishing world. Hopefully the author can wrap things up nicely while also making this finale fun as hell. I'm really excited to see what this author comes out with next, now that the series is finished. That kind of stuff is just like always really fun to look forward to. A Home for the World Built. This is a short sci-fi novella by the Hugo Award-winning author Becky Chambers, first to a series that takes place in a post-apocalyptic type future. It follows a non-binary monk who upends their life to be a tea monk, traveling the world to bring people tea and listen to their problems. I have always heard great things about Becky Chambers, but I've never read one of her books before, but this one sounds like a cute, charming story. A lot of themes and topics here that resonate with me a lot, and I see myself giving this one a try, and maybe you will too. On July 20th, we have quite a lot of books coming out. The first one is She Who Became the Sun. You've probably heard so many people talking about this one, including myself, as as this is a book that I am super excited to read. It's a queer reimagining of the rise of the founding emperor of the Ming Dynasty in 14th century China. The main story here follows two main characters, both very different, and I believe this is a standalone as well, which is always such a surprise to me when it comes to fantasy. On top of a really well done cover, we can all just hope that it makes a lot of use of this time period and setting. Also, this is a debut, and it's already turning heads. Assassin's Orbit. Golden Girls beats The Expanse in this space opera thriller mix. While I certainly do love this type of open world sci-fi, it's really nice to see some attention given to a huge diverse cast, including a blind character with a cane and even Muslim characters, which is so fantastic to hear. It's set in a universe inhabited by people who have fled from Earth through a one-way wormhole trip, and they're fleeing from a nanotech-based virus. I am super into this. I do not pick up enough sci-fi, but if I were to, this one is for sure high up on my list. These Hollow Vows. This is a YA fantasy that is pitched as, and be ready for this, it's a moneymaker. Cruel Prince meets A Court of Thorns and Roses. It's about a girl who is caught between two treacherous fairy courts and their dangerously seductive princes. I'm including this on my list because I feel like for some of you watching this, this is going to be up your alley, even if it might not be up mine. I really wanted to give you a heads up. The cover is stunning, and it really depicts what you are probably getting. I'm assuming it's steamy as well, probably a lot of angst, so mark this one on your calendars. Notes from the Burning Age. This one sounds extremely intriguing. Claire North is a very popular author, having written The 15 Lies of Harry August, and here she is again, giving us a new sci-fi. It takes place in a post-apocalyptic world, and a lot of reviewers are using the word spy novel, which is really interesting. It's told through the perspective of a priest, and he's a member of a temple that is dedicated to uncovering and deciphering ancient knowledge. I think that sounds like a plot that will satisfy anyone's SFF cravings, for both beginner and experienced readers. It being Claire North, I'm sure she has written a world that feels like an authentic apocalyptic experience. Savage Bounty. So I really wanted to mention the sequel because I have been interested in its first book since its release, and that was Savage Legion. It came out last summer, I believe, and this is an epic fantasy series following three main characters who are all women and are thrust into new roles in this like utopia-like society that is slowly showing its true colors beneath the cracks, and it's not good either. I feel like the series is possibly like a underrated hidden gem, and it's so enticing. I've heard such great things, so I definitely needed to mention it here today. The Past is Red. This is a short novella coming from Tor. It's a post-apocalyptic story which is set in the future after Earth's rising oceans have drowned the land and remnants of humanity survive on ships and floating islands of garbage. The characters dream of a future where dry land will emerge. A very important message here the author is trying to make, for sure, and I think it's a great one to write about in dystopian form. I'm excited for it, and I think the cover perfectly matches its really impactful sounding story. The Book of Accidents. A new kind of different take on horror from Chuck Wendig. I've seen someone compare this novel to if Stephen King and Blake Crouch had a baby, so we can all assume just some crazy suspense and weird phenomena. It includes demonology and alternative universes. Basically, the premise here is we're following a family who move into a childhood home, and weird things begin to happen immediately. A creepy house is always a great classic setting for a horror novel, and this is a lengthy one, set around I think like 500 pages, which doesn't surprise me from this author as he wrote The Wanderers, which was huge. But yeah, look out for this one on July 20th. And finally, moving on to July 27th, which I only have one book here on my list, and that is Small Favors. The author of House of Salt and Sorrows is back with a new YA fantasy. Rather than a standard fairy tale with castles and princesses, this book, a Rumpelstiltskin retelling I believe, takes place in a small town in the mountains. It heavily depicts some cultish vibes, is being compared to The Village, which is very creepy. And it's a pretty chunky book, I think around 500 pages, which is drastically drastically different than her previous novel, so hopefully she can just pound in lots of detail and storytelling into this one. Alrighty, and that is all I have for you this month. Leave me a comment, let me know what you think. If you like this video, click like. If you're not subscribed, now is a great time to do so. I upload brand new videos every single week, and the best way to see them first is of course by clicking the notification bell. You'll get notified as soon as they go live, and as always, thank you so much for watching, and until we meet again, happy reading.